small but radioactive audience. Just back from the Rudy Hill RSL Ladies Auxiliary Backgammon and Bingo Festival where he killed them. Two just out of natural cause of one of the finest acts in the land. Please bring him on a big round of applause, a big round of the clap for Mr. Gary Latham. Come on, everyone!
Seen me before. 20 people here and they've all seen me before. How is everyone? Oh, you don't have to answer, mate, because I don't actually give a shit. No, I just asked that so I can tell you how I am. I'm really tired. I didn't get much sleep tomorrow night. No, I stayed up building a time machine. You want to see it? Yeah. I know it looks like a watch and everything, but it actually works. I travelled back in time. I travelled back to yesterday. And I've even got the paper to prove it. Which makes it really weird because it means I've actually performed here twice tonight. Once before I built the time machine and now. The first time I was really funny, everybody's just pissing themselves laughing. I know what you're thinking though. You're sitting there nudging your mate, saying just our luck. Turned up to the wrong parallel universe. But I have a lot of fun with this time machine. Like I travelled back in time the other day to when I was a little girl. Yeah. And I was just sitting around the kitchen table having breakfast with my grandparents and my mum. And I said, Mum, are you going to be a grandmother one day? She said, no, I'm going to get bowel cancer. And she did. And I can travel back in time and be really smart. Like I traveled back in time and I had this job in a bakery. And I said, hey guys, why don't we slice the bread before we sell it? And the boss came up to me and said, Gary, you know that's the best idea since. Thanks. And I can travel back in time and meet heaps of famous people. Like, I travelled back and I was just sort of chatting to Noah. And I just said, do you reckon it'll rain? And I used to travel back in time and I'd climb up trees and I'd throw apples at Newton. It's like touch and go as to whether he's going to discover gravity or concussion. And I was hanging out with the apostles. This is just after Jesus died, right? They were telling me all about his life and stuff. And I said, gee, John, that's a really cool story. You should write a book. You know, I'm really worried about Sydney. You get up in the morning and there's just like brown haze everywhere. Pollution levels that are 4 times the acceptable limit. It's got to be bad for you, doesn't it? But you guys don't mind if I smoke? Is that cool? Because I know a lot of people get upset about passive smoking and stuff. You do? I'll give you a tip. If you're ever in a restaurant, someone's smoking near you, blow food in their face. I don't know if there's anybody here watch Star Search at all. And for those of you who don't know it, it's a talent quest, right? And they have like little kids that dance around and be really cute, little 8-year-olds, really talented and stuff. I just take consolation in the fact that puberty will destroy their careers. Because I was on it, and afterwards I had heaps of people ringing me up, asking me about work and stuff. I was talking to this guy for about 15 minutes one morning. Then I realised it was 10:30, I was meant to be at work at 6 and I was my boss. Thank you. I had a really weird childhood, because that's what comedians are supposed to do, right? Like, I was always off my face at school. I used to muck up and the teacher would make me sit in the corner and do lines. I never had many friends. Everybody used to pick on me. Like, I used to have to wear my clothes inside out just so people would talk to me. Although I have to admit, hey dickhead, your shirt's inside out. It's not a great way to start a conversation. My parents were really worried. They thought I might have a complex. So they sent me to a psychiatrist, right? But the psychiatrist said I was too simple to have a complex. I had to organise a school reunion the other day. I had to make 120 phone calls. I had to book 120 different venues. Oh, it's all night. It's great. But I do have some fond memories though of my childhood. I remember my brother. I remember when my dog died. Everybody was really sad, except for my brother. He felt kind of guilty. It's fair enough though, he strangled her. Oh no, it was an accident. It was really dark. He thought it was my sister. But he was really weird. When he was a kid, he used to be suicidal. I'll never forget the day we found him in the kitchen. He had 2 pairs of jeans on, 3 pairs of tracksuit pants, 4 flannelette shirts, a lumber jacket, a pair of Oak boots and a beanie. He also had the oven turned up full blast and 4 heaters on. The dumb bastard was trying to spontaneously combust. And I was always really mean to my sister too. Like when she was little, she'd lose a tooth and she'd put in a glass for the tooth fairy. Well, while she was asleep, I used to arrow-dite it back in. My parents loved it, saved them heaps of money. My dad used to come into my room every night and he'd shout, "What are you doing with your life?" Hey, I wasn't touching it. After 3 years in this, I worked out he wanted me to get a job. So I got this job in a laboratory where they do animal experiments, and I was sacked for trying to find the boiling point of a rabbit. I love that job. It was better than my last job. I was a chalker with the police force. Every time someone was murdered, I used to have to go and trace around. I had to leave though. I kept having arguments with the sergeant. I felt it was restricting my artistic creativity. It can be really depressing losing a job though. So normally what I do, I'll go around to my mate's place. His name's Phil and he's a real fun guy. We do heaps of fun things together. Like, we go out at night when it's raining, we get in taxis, and we just drive past other people who are waiting for taxis. And then on really dark nights, we'll find an old lady who's walking down the street by herself. Then we go up behind her, and Phil says really loud, "Do you reckon she's got much money on her?" Watch him run. And Phil likes to ring up old ladies, right, and say that he's from a radio station, and that they've won $1,000. Top stir, eh? Except then a week later he gets really guilty and he sends them the money. He's like that, he's a dickhead. Like he had these dope plants growing in his backyard. Someone stole them. So he reported it to the police. He's really accident prone. He almost got run over the other day, trying to squeegee windscreens at a roundabout. About 2 weeks ago, he almost broke his neck. He tried bungee jumping. That's where you scull 3 bottles of Bundy and jump out of your bedroom window. But I think what sums Phil up best is he keeps his plastic Coke bottle in the fridge full of water. You're not allowed to drink it, so dogs won't shit in there. It's true. But it's not Phil's fault though. Like, he was exposed to drugs at a really early age. His mother was a heroin addict, having complications at birth when he tried to tie off his arm with the umbilical cord. But I was at his place the other day and I thought it was time to go, so I had a couple of cones and went out to my car, because I love driving stoned. Yeah. Except I get really paranoid. Like the other day I thought I was being followed by an unmarked taxi. And I'm having a lot of fun with these new speed cameras, you know the ones? They're great, because I drive around really fast, but I've camouflaged my car as a telegraph pole. Had an accident though. I ran into a telegraph pole. Fancy that, eh? 2 people with the same idea. So back to the story. I was driving home from Phil's place and I rolled my car. Cost me $200 in tally hos. So I started to walk and I ended up sitting on the dock of the world watching the tide do aerobics, right? And I made this new friend, this turtle. He was kind of shy at first, but I coaxed him out of his shell. I said, "You look pretty pissed off, mate. What's wrong?" He said, "Yeah, I'm the only one who gets out of the water to take a piss." And this started me thinking, because sometimes I start thinking like really heavy things, like what was Adam and Eve's first fight over? Like, he would have had to be pretty paranoid to think she was having an affair. And I was thinking how unfair life is. Like, I got given this pack of Smarties the other day. They're all red. I didn't know where to start. So I thought I'd do a good deed, you know, correct the imbalance in the world. I sponsored an Ethiopian child. Didn't cost me much though. There was no way he was ever going to finish the walkathon. I'm going to leave you now, but I want to leave you with a few interesting facts. Did you know that the boiling point of a rabbit was 94.2? And one for the blonde girl down here. You probably don't know this. Does anybody here know any blonde jokes, by the way? I don't tell any, because I reckon blonde jokes were all made up by blondes, just so they could get more attention. No, but interesting fact number 2. Did you know that men get periods? It's just we know the cure. And we're not telling. And did you know, if you got everybody in Japan right, you laid them end-to-end around the world, 2/3 of them are drowned.